fundamental things, especially for our 8U, 9U, 10U guys. This is teaching them responsibilities, teaching them that, right and wrong way to do things, work ethic, teamwork, how to build relationships, things of that nature. And so it's more of a responsibility to be a guidance leader, somebody that's not just there to be on the ball fields on Saturdays or pick up practices on Tuesdays. What we want is to be that role model for all of the kids that come through our program, all the kids that play the game, whether it be on field or off field, So for us, what does it mean to be a coach? It's just a person that somebody can look up to, because we don't know what life is for everybody. We're not there 24/7. But we want to be able to help these kids as they continue on and develop beyond the game of baseball. The easiest way for us to do that, I think, is to remember somebody that taught us the game of baseball that went outside of the game itself. Like I said earlier, it teaches us responsibilities, teamwork, work ethic, things at a young age. But there are certain things that kind of stick with kids. And for most of the kids, it's the funny things that stick. That goofiness, that weirdness that we can bring that makes the game enjoyable, but it also has a purpose, right? For me, I can remember back playing when I was younger. We had one coach. He was a Scrooge on the field. I'm talking an absolute technician. But with that, I learned from 9, 10 years old that, there was a discipline to be had and an expectation that we were thought to maintain. It doesn't mean he was a terrible person or a terrible coach or a terrible leader, but that was his way of working with us. And for many of the reasons that we might see ourselves being a leader, we each have our own personality that we can put into it. For me, that's kind of being that high energy guy, that things that just make things go. I always have, like Josh and I, usually with me, that I go so fast. It's nice to have somebody that counteracts to it, somebody that can bring down the intensity. But that's the way I'm able to approach the kids, is through that crazy, wild goofiness. And with that, there's certain things that the kids will remember. They'll laugh, they'll joke, but it's being able to create that relationship early on, that has the effects for it. And I don't know if you guys have had any interactions like that where you just kind of have a moment where you feel that connection with the kid. Like, that kid now is relatable to you. That kid is like, oh, no, I can go tell Coach this, or, oh, Coach will be so happy to hear that. And that's kind of what you want. You want to be able to relate to them, to have that effect on them inside and out. And there's certain things that you're going to do that's going to make them, they're going to make you mad, you're going to make them mad. And you have to learn how to twist those scenarios into being a good game manager, or a good life coach, not just a good game manager. So if I ask you guys, like, what are 3 major life lessons that you learned playing the game, what would be something that just kind of stood out to you right out the gate? This is an open question, Dave.
Probably for me, dealing with failure. Dealing with failure over and over and over. It's definitely a life lesson that you just carry on to life, because, you're going to have ups and downs, but how you deal with it was kind of the biggest life lesson for me.
Yeah, okay. So when dealing with, like, at what age do you think that was kind of the big key point? Do you think that was more high school level, junior high level, youth level? Josh, do you hear me?
My bad. Yeah, probably like middle school to high school age. That's probably when it started really affecting me as a kid. You get down, but obviously when you're a kid, you kind of have that kid-like, mentality where it's like, oh crap, I failed, but oh well, I'm going to go pick dandelions, go play, keep playing. But I feel like, middle school is definitely when it started kicking in more and more and more. It's like, dang, do I suck or do I need to work through this? Kind of when those emotions start hitting home.
Yeah. Right. Well, another big one I can kind of see in the dealing with the failure is the kids, they'll use that kind of emotion in frustration and they'll cry. So, Michael, that's probably a big one with you. Kid strikes out. How does he handle that failure? How does he deal with it? How does he cope with that emotion? And usually for the younger kids, it's like Josh said in middle school, he kind of got upset, but it was like, okay, I'm going to go off and I'm not good enough to be here, whatever. With the younger kids, that emotion is crying or getting mad and maybe throwing equipment or something like that nature. But when we come to that motion of failure, like how do you personally try to handle that stuff?
Are you asking me in general?
Yes. In general,
honestly, with 8U, it's like we teach like failure is just part of baseball. Like it's gonna happen. It's like you said. It's like how are you dealing with it? And it's like the type of failure. Like, are you, you may. For instance, we played really good teams last weekend in a tournament, and there was tons of hard lineouts. And it's like, guys, you're out, but you hit the ball great. So it's like, but they're starting, like our group is starting to get better at taking failure. There's still a couple of them that don't handle it great. But I think it's really how I honestly learn with our age group is they feed off of our emotions. Like if we're upset, they're going to get upset. So I feel like as coaches with the younger kids, we have to control our own emotions, how we're dealing with their emotions, if that makes sense.
Absolutely fantastic. That's 100% kind of where I was going to feed into it as I have it. Like when they come in with those guys, like they don't have that maturity level to understand. Like they know right and wrong. And for them, it's still black and white, right? Like, okay, I'm out, I did bad. I got on, I'm safe, I did good. I made the play, I'm good. I didn't make a play, now I'm bad. And for them, like you said, being able to have that emotional support on that level is actually fantastic. Because they're not to that, like I said, maturity level just quite yet. And it's starting to take shape towards okay, you did fail, but you did this right, this right, this right. It's that positive reinforcement and negative kind of punishment. Like, okay, you didn't make this play, but did you hustle for this play? Okay, you didn't fail, you just didn't execute. And for them, using small words, because they can't say execution is key. Like, doing your best effort is what we want. Things of that nature, especially with the younger groups. It really goes a long way, because if they can understand that you're not mad, you're not beating them down for things that they try to do, things that they are doing well but not winning that rep. That's going to be a major tool for you guys to use going along. Like you said, they're hitting line drives, but they get out. It happens. It's part of baseball. But that's something that you can use. Like, okay, you hit that ball well. Now go outside, go out into the field, and make that next play. You can make up for that. Not because they did bad, but because it kind of takes their mind away from the wrong that they think they did. It's a way to motivate them and kind of clear their mind out of that quote-unquote failure that they just had. And as they get older, and this will be more pertaining towards the 13U and the 14U, is being able to clear your mind out of the way with, baseball is a game of failure. Like, we preach that all the time. You're not going to succeed 50% of the time, right? But you can go out and you can win the next rep. Being able to control that emotion as you get older is kind of where we want to push them with, certain life lessons like that, like dealing with failure. Understanding, hey, this isn't the best game that I'm having. I'm not going to let myself get down in this game. I'm not going to take myself out of this game just because I'm not having my best performance. That's a key note for them on all scales, is keeping that kind of emotion in that upward battle, that happiness towards the game. Because for, like, you guys, Michael, at the younger group, 80% of it is having fun and enjoying the game. Because it is a kid's game. Like, we all know it's a kid's game. But for them to go out and enjoy themselves on the weekend, not feel pressure, that's one of the key notes for those guys. Yes, winning is way more fun than losing, but when you lose, you can learn something. There's a life lesson to be had in each game. You did this well. How did you do this well? You were happy. Okay. You didn't do this well. Why didn't you do this well? Well, because you were sad and upset. Understanding how to control each emotion during each game kind of helps go a long way, especially if you can start from the younger age. I had one of the life lessons for me was knowing I'm not the best. Like, that started for me probably again in the high school, junior high level. Like, you kind of see those guys out there, like, they might not be the best player out there, but that doesn't mean you don't get don't give the best effort that you can each and every game. So I kind of translate that into, if you have 20% that day, give me all 20%. If you have 80%, give me all 80%, because not every day is then everybody going to be better than me. I mean, some days I might have my 80% and somebody else might have their 40%, and that day I'm better than them, and the next day it happens. That was kind of a big life lesson that I had in the game. And so that kind of applies to things like, I usually use it at school. I don't know exactly how good I'm going to do in such and such class, or this class comes easy to me, or this class is difficult to me. But if I put everything I have to do the best that I can in this class, I can move on. That's kind of my big life lesson. What are other good life lessons that you guys have learned just through the game of baseball?
I mean, honestly, for me, like, not just baseball, but sports in general, is work ethic. Like, I learned from sports, you basically get out what you put in. I mean, and even with my own kid, he's starting to learn, like, at 8 years old, like, because for the last, even off season, honestly, he's been an animal. He's been dragging me to the cage. He wants to hit. He wants to get better. And for him, he's starting to see results from it. So I feel like that's one good life lesson from sports, is work ethic. Like, honestly, you really do. You get out what you put in.
Absolutely. That's a fantastic one. I like that one. Jose, you got any major life lessons that you've taken from just the game of baseball?
Of course. One of them will be like, pretty much not just in baseball, but in life in general, pretty much overcoming obstacles, and errors are going to happen. So it's just, how you respond to them.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. That's a good one. Overcoming obstacles. Now, with that, what methods we use for certain life lessons, like, these are things that we've known, like, we've taken from the game that we can now install into practices, into games, into school, relationships, friendships. Like, that's kind of where I'm leading on to with the next one is, how do we create our way of coaching? Is it just, okay, they have to understand the X's and O's? Or are we taking this approach in a manner in which, okay, baseball is this, but we can learn this and this, like how to come from dealing with failure? How do we understand that we're not the best? How do we get the best work ethic? How do we overcome certain obstacles to help push not just ourselves day to day, but to help push these young kids into their future, into their life? Like, what I use is the philosophies, like the coaching philosophies. With that, I mean, I kind of want to take a little bit of time with this one because this is the main meat of the whole session here. But what of these obstacles in life, what of these moments do we carry into practice each and every day? As a coaching philosophy, these are the values that we are able to integrate. These are the values that we want to instill. These are the ones that no matter what happens, whether we win, whether we lose, whether we're great, whether we're terrible, whether it's the greatest moment, whether it's the saddest of sads, what is it that we want to hold on to day in and day out? For me, when I go into my coaching philosophy, I have 6 rules. I have the kids recite these 6 rules. I make sure that they understand what they are. The core on the diamond when they're in game, when I'm in practice, is effort, fundamentals, and IQ. No matter what we're doing, I want the kids to understand exactly what it is I'm trying to teach them, breaking it down into the simplest of terms so that way they can relate. Finding ways, like I said earlier, that you can make a connection with your players that allows them to grow as a player and as a person and as a teammate, as a leader, whatever that may be. Doing things the right way, your best effort, always outplay, out-hustle, outwork anybody else on the field, anybody else in the classroom, anybody else in a relationship. Always try to be the very best that you can be. I have my 6 rules. I mean, with those 6 rules, I prioritize them as they mean to me. And I think with these, if we each come up with 3 to 4, just kind of sit back, take some time, and really think about 3 things that mean the most to us in our lives. What would those 6, or what would those 3 to 4 values be that we can instill into a coaching philosophy? If you guys have pen, paper, just you want to use your notes, something like that, just take a couple minutes and sit here and think to yourselves, like, okay, when I come out of this game, when I come home from work, what are 3 things that mean the most to you? Just take a couple minutes. If you want to talk about them, we can talk about them. But I want you guys to have this, and this is just kind of helping you create your own coaching philosophy, your own principles. I'll just give you guys, like I said, I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes, just kind of write them down in the notes, think about them, talk if you want to. to start with my 6 because I've had these for a while. It's something I was able to use back when I was at the college level. Some of you might know them because you heard them before, but if they go in the sequences, I'll ask my guys, like, okay, guys, what are my rules? What are my rules? I'll go 1 through 6, and I'll ask them, what's rule number 1? And for me, the most important rule for these guys right now is school. The philosophy of, you might be good enough to play at the college level. You guys might be good enough one day to make it to the major league level. You might make it to the minor league level. You might make it to, Pacific League, Coastal League, Intermediate League, whatever it is. But before you get through there, you got to get through school. Academics are your future. And I kind of had that as I grew up. School was always important. I always had to take top quality classes, had to take the hardest classes, which was a pain. But because of that, it taught me how to learn not just what failures I had, earlier on, what the game taught me, but expanded my mind. And I kind of want that for my guys. I want them to be able to make their own decisions, become who they are. And for me, school was the best way. I'll tell my guys all the time, baseball will get you to college, but school gets you in college. And so for me, that kind of sticks as the hardest point that I push to all of my guys. And the second one is family. Your parents are the reason that you're able to do half the things that you're able to do. None of you can support yourselves. You guys aren't working the 9 to 5s, the extra hours, the late nights. So be thankful for your family. They take care of you. They're there to support you. They're there to push you. And they're there for your well-being. So be thankful for your family. My third one is the team. That team doesn't necessarily have to be a baseball team. That can be the people that you work with, the employees that you have. They're there that you've created a bond with, and you want to succeed with them. You want them to be as successful as you are. So kind of be there as not just a person to talk to, but somebody that you can be you can be counted on. You're somebody that if somebody's struggling for something, that you can be there. You can push them to a point where they think they're nothing, or they think they're the best, or they're struggling in something. But whether they're on the highest of highs or the lowest of lows, you can be that team atmosphere that helps create success. And then number 4 that I have is be a competitor. Be willing to compete. In life, nothing is going to be given to you, right? You're going to have to go out and you're going to have to work for it. There are certain advantages that you'll have, sure, but if you want to be successful, you have to be ready to compete. And you can compete in every aspect with school, jobs, friendships, relationships, the team, the diamond, all of it. It all has to be done. And you have to have that willingness to compete and be afraid or be ready to move your best efforts towards that plus side, that positive side. The other one is don't be afraid to fail. Like baseball is the easiest one. Don't be afraid to fail. Give that extra effort. Try something new. Try to learn something new. You're not going to be the greatest in everything, but you can at least understand something. So don't be afraid to fail. Have no fear. Go in it with the right attitude, with the right willingness, and you don't know what you're capable of until you push yourself. And if you're afraid to do it, then you're never going to know. And then the last one, number 6, is be a teammate. It kind of ties in really, really big with 3, as be part of a team. But the be a teammate is a bit different in the manner in which you are only as good, you're only as strong, you're only as successful as those that you associate yourself with, those that are around you. So if you're going to be the best version of yourself, you have to understand what it means to push those around you to succeed in a manner that you do, in a way that you do. That doesn't mean, try to manipulate people or make everything the same way that you do, but be able to strive for greatness, strive for success, strive to compete without fear. It's something that I think has come a long way, especially in our own team. Y'all hear guys all the time, especially with Josh's team. There's a kid, his name's Carter. He is always out there encouraging guys. Hey, nobody walks. Nobody's ever walking. On the jog, hustle here, hustle there. Hey, we can do this. We're still in this game. And if he could be, he'd be my poster child of what it means to be a teammate. And it's insane how often that kind of rubs off on other guys. You guys are down in the last inning. You guys are behind in your work, whatever it is. You have that voice, whether it be with, your girlfriends, your wives. If you are able to encourage and push their success, it kind of becomes a piggyback for them. It's like, okay, I'm not going to fail because I can't fail because they're expecting something of me. They know I can do this. And it kind of gives them that extra push. With that, I'll start with you, Josh. What are 3 things that you think would be something that you would want to incorporate into your philosophy?
Yeah, Dean. When you showed me the actual outline of this meeting, I actually worked ahead on this. So I actually came up. I came up with like an acronym. So it's the C. So SEE. So expectations is C. So expectation I see is to be selfless. That's the S. Make sure that you're selfless. Make sure that this life's not about you. It's never about you. It's really comes down to what you can do for other people. So that goes through life. That goes through being a teammate. How can you bless other people with the gifts that you've been given? So hey, if you're a flamethrower on the field, awesome. You're gonna bless that team by being the stud pitcher. If you're if you're encouraging, you're going to be the encourager in that role. So it's kind of like going into the selfless. Like, it's not about you. It's kind of how can you bless others with your gifts? How can you help the team? How can you sacrifice bunts or whatever it is? It's not about you. It's about the team. You'll work to that greater goal. The 2 E's is seek excellence. So excellence, and then bring energy. So excellence, if you're just like you said, if you have 20% that day, your excellence is going to be 20%. You're going to exceed. You're going to work towards your all-out effort. So be the very best version of yourself in that specific day or in all areas of your life. And like understanding it doesn't happen in a day, it doesn't happen in a week, but it's actually like a compounds on top of each other to where, each day if you're building good habits, if you're seeking excellence day in and day out, it's actually going to make you excellent down the road. So it's going to create the best version of yourself down the road. And we could just keep seeking that out. And then the last E is bring energy. So that's your attitude and effort. So of all the things that you can't control, that's the one thing that you can control. So you can definitely control your energy. So if everyone's having a bad day, everyone has a bad day, but it's actually how fast can you change your energy. So yeah, you strike out, you may I say like allow 3 seconds that you could be completely pissed at yourself, like internally, not slamming bats. You could be like, oh gosh, when I strike out, but then all right, now how can I change my energy? And the call timed out 45 minutes, so we quickly created a new room. Sweet. Man, I got so into that speech, and then I realized that it completely dropped. I was probably talking to myself for, 3 minutes before I realized. What all did you guys hear on my end?
You're at expectation.
All right, so the expectations is C. So I created it as an acronym. So I saw your outline, Dean. So I worked ahead on this. So my expectations is C. So SEE is my acronym. So be selfless. So realizing that this life is not about you. It's about what you can do for others. It's also like having the opportunity to realize how can you bless others with the gifts that you've been given. So focusing on being selfless. So that goes into being a teammate, being a good teammate. So whether it's like, hey, if coach asks me to drop a bunt, obviously I want to drop a bomb. But if he tells me to drop a bunt, I'm going to be selfless because it's for the betterment of the team. But also it goes into life, being selfless. Now that has a whole other meaning to me now having Ronan. Being that selfless leader, trying to help out the family as much as I possibly can, being that selfless person. So that's the selflessness. Seek excellence. So E, so selfless excellence. So we want to seek excellence to be the very best version of myself in all aspects of my life. And like the really focus is it doesn't happen in a day, a week, a year. It's about making good decisions each and every day to where it compounds on top of each other and then eventually you'll become the best version of yourself. So all I can do is make good decisions each and every day, and that's going to get me to that excellence. The last thing is the E is energy. So bring energy out of attitude and effort. Of all the things I can't control, I can control these two things. So my attitude and my effort, that's my energy. So everyone has a bad day. Everyone gets down. Everyone just has bad days, but it's really all about how can you change your energy? How fast can you change it to be that person that you need to be? It's a decision. It's not so much, I'm having a crappy day, so now I could just go interrupt and ruin everyone else's day. No, I need to make sure that I decide to change my energy and be that positive light to them. So bring that energy. So if you strike out, you have 3 seconds to be mad at yourself, scream at yourself, and then, all right, now I'm a good teammate. If you're applying it to the field, all right, now I'm a good teammate. Now, hey, let's go. Pick me up. So that's my expectations to see the selfless excellence and energy.
Awesome. I love those. Absolutely love those. Michael, do you come up with anything?
I don't really have like a cool acronym or anything, but
I worked ahead.
No, but like I'm not like too far off from what you're saying though. Like, I mean, honestly, like effort and attitude is like huge for me because, I mean, I'm telling most of our kids, like, if you're, 8 years old, they get discombobulated quick. Like, whenever they're down 5 runs, they act like they're down 25 runs. So I'm always like, this terrible attitude spreads like a wildfire. Somebody's got to be water, put this out. Like, things like that. Like, effort, attitude. And then, honestly, at this age group, and I'm sure it's the same when you get older, is, like, I like to try to instill confidence in these kids. Like, we had, for instance, a kid on our team that we started spring practice, and he's showing up to practice, and it looked like he didn't want to be there. But never got on him, never ripped him for his effort, just kept on saying, hey, we know how good you are, bring this, bring that. I love to be huge and instilling confidence. And then I put fun. Like, I like to have fun. And that's honestly what they're out there for. But I'm not too far off from what everything else you're saying, though. I think all those are great points.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you on the fun. Like, especially for those guys at that age, having fun is probably the most important part. Because when you're having fun, you're more inept to blow off what everybody else is saying. You're having fun, you're enjoying yourself, and when you do that, you're more open to kind of take on other traits like the confidence and the energy that really helps push those guys a lot farther in the long run. Jose, I see you came on back. Did you come up with a few things that you think that you would use as your philosophy?
Yes, I have a couple. So my first one was kind of goes hand in hand with the one you were talking about, how school comes first. So I pretty much heard this throughout high school and mainly through college, how we are student athletes. So even in the word, student comes first. So pretty much prioritizing, your schoolwork before you prioritize sports. And then my second one will be giving 100% effort in everything you do. That could be school, sports, and even helping out, for example, in your community or even in your family. Everything you do, you want to give 100% effort. And lastly, I wrote, as a team, uplift each other, especially in times of adversity. For example, it could be mainly when, kids strike out and stuff, their first reaction is to, drop their head and, be down for whatever time it takes them, but, pretty much uplift each other so we can just keep on, having a great day and playing the game, have fun while we at it.
Yeah, absolutely. That last one that you had, being uplifting, that kind of actually rolls in perfectly with the kind of the last little bit that I had for it, and that is kind of creating something that makes a team more than a team. We're out there and we got our guys and we got our families out there and we got parents, we got siblings, all of that. And what kind of makes that team in its own entity a team? And I think, Michael, you guys on the 8U have created the culture that everyone should strive for. I mean, you guys are completely active in your communications, in your fundraising, in your support. And that alone allows for a group, whether it be a team, whether it be work, whether it be friends, whatever it is, like that allows for everyone to kind of understand what everybody has as an expectation, what kind of projection you want to take towards your success. And as they get older, things are going to change. They're going to go to a different middle school. They're going to go to a different high school. And they're going to have to completely redo that culture that makes it work for them. But as it goes for now, being able to take those philosophies and create a team environment, a culture that you can instill, that is pretty much the goal of any philosophy that you can come up with. As we kind of push towards the end of our preseason, or pushed towards the end of our preseason, and it came to an end, you kind of saw how the teams were interacting. And a lot of the guys on the 8U have been playing for a little while, and so they already understand. They've got guys that are correcting themselves already. Even on the 14U teams, the 13U teams, you see guys communicating in ways. It's like, no, this is how we're supposed to do it. No, this is what we need to do. No, you're doing this wrong, and we need to come back to this. And that is a reflection not only on them, but a reflection on the coaches, and how they are adhering to what you're trying to help them succeed with. As we create our own cultures, as we create our own atmospheres for our teams, this will be the one thing that kids probably remember the most. For me, it was always being the most effort on the field. Like that's kind of the culture that I like to have. Is I like to make sure that my guys, no matter what's going on, we're giving more effort in everything that we're doing than the other team. Whether it be chasing foul balls, whether it be running out bases, whether it be practicing just simple tasks, executing drills. I want that max effort to push to be the best. Michael, yours was fun. Like you said, your atmosphere is a fun atmosphere. And so being able to create a culture that allows the boys to have fun, that's going to be what they remember the most. As they get older, the fun will probably continue because that's what they were taught. That's what they got out of baseball. So creating that atmosphere is the culture that you're trying to instill each and every day, no matter the circumstances. And you kind of want to reiterate your philosophy into those things. I mean, for me, that atmosphere comes up, or that philosophy comes up at the end of each and every practice. It doesn't matter if we're here for an hour. It doesn't matter if we're practicing for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It doesn't matter. Every day at the end of it, we kind of reiterate to that philosophy that we have, those kind of core values that we want to make sure that these kids understand. You can come up with that practice. You can come out, and I always just ask the list, make sure they understand what it is that I go, and I'll ask them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and they'll tell me. But for the younger groups, like 8U, is like, I mean, you could be like, hey, did you guys have fun today at the end of practice? Or what did you guys learn today at the end of the practice? Wasn't that fun? And sometimes, like, I'll ask that in the preseason for some of the younger groups, like, who had fun today? And, some of them will tell me, like, I didn't. Okay. All right, clearly I need to come back and reflect and readjust what I have planned to make it more of an engagement that they enjoy. And then there'll be some times where everybody's like, yeah, that was awesome. Wow. So I'll remember that and kind of keep that so I can continue to grow as a coach, grow as a mentor and a leader, and help these guys as they get better each and every day with what I want them to learn in a manner that I want to learn, or I want them to learn. It's really just kind of putting out your values in a way that they understand. And with that, there's a lot that goes into that culture. It's not just at the end of the practice. It's throughout the practice. It's before the practice. And I have it as a culture that, nurtures them. So we're not out there babying them. We're not like, oh, it's okay, you struck out. Oh, or, oh, you didn't give your best effort. You didn't try today. It's okay. It's that positive and negative reinforcement that, like, when they succeed, we succeed with them. We get incredibly hyped up. We get super excited and over stressed that whatever it is that they did, that extra effort, that smile, that kind of joking manner, that it might be something like execution wise. Like some kids, when they run the bases, they go straight and they take a really wide turn. But one time they get a banana peel and go straight to second base, and it's streamlined, and they barely beat the throw. And we know what instance caused that. And so we just absolutely lose our minds in cheering and in reiterating, hey, I saw you do this. That's the way you're supposed to do it. Well done. Great job. Fantastic. I want to see that every time. That's how you're supposed to do it. Great. And kind of that aspect of it is a nurture for them, so where they're like, oh, okay. Oh, I understand this. And it kind of allows them to learn and have an enjoyment while doing so. There's other ways of pushing their limits. It's like, trying something new. You have a new technique that they need to master. They're not going to get it right out the gate. No one does. It's just the way it is. Sometimes some might be really good at it. Some might pick it up faster than others. But at the same time, you have to understand, like, when you're trying to teach them something new, you have to continue to hold on to your philosophy that you guys just came up with. You have to hold on to what values you keep. And some of these you might end up pushing aside. You might grow with more. You might adjust this one this way or that. But you're always trying to teach your kids, when you're learning something new, when you're trying something new, that we stick to the culture that we have created, and it doesn't go into a hostile or a demeaning or a negative way. But we're not babying them at the same time. It's a way to enforce everything that we know to be right and everything that we know to be wrong, and not jump in their throats, but making sure that they understand exactly it is how they need to learn the process. And like I said, sometimes you're just going to learn, like, this kid doesn't react to a hard push. Like, he has to be taught step by step by step by step. And you can't come out of yourself while teaching it. You can push themselves, and they're going to push back, but you're going to push yourselves and them to that success level. And then when they don't understand, it's okay to not. Like, if you're like, okay, who knows what we're doing? You've just explained it 5 or 6 times. They're like, I don't get it. And you're like, okay, that is fine. You don't understand. We're going to work on it a little bit more, and we're going to slow it down. We'll do it this way. And if you have a practice, say you're trying to do a defensive positioning, or you're trying to do a hitting or a bunting, and it's like, okay, this is what we need to get through to get to the next level. Well, if that's what you're wanting them to learn, it might be something where you have to stop and be okay with not getting everything done in that practice that you thought you needed to get done, to make sure that they can comprehend and grasp everything that they have been told for the last 30, 45 minutes. And then at the end of it is you are their idol. And I don't mean that as oh my God, they're going to worship you. Oh my gosh, this is the coach. He knows all. Oh my gosh, if I don't do it this way, it's the wrong way. It's understanding that as a coach, you are the one that they're going to look for. They're going to the one that they're going to look to when they're confused. And that goes hand in hand with, the life lessons that you've learned. Like, they're going to look to you and need to know what it is. And you're going to have to take that time to mentor them, to push them, to maybe even come to the side and talk to them a little bit for whatever reason it is. But you're the one on the field. You're the one at the practice. You're the one in a scrimmage that they are going to look to for guidance and support and how to do things correctly. And that's what I have for us, and that's kind of what I mean by being that coach. That what it means to be a coach for these guys. Is there you guys have any comments on this? Do you have any questions about anything that I've talked about that you want to talk about, or anything like that you want to talk about amongst ourselves about things that we've learned? We can do that here now.
Yeah, Dean, there's one quick outlook that kind of changed my mind that I overheard. Like, I can't remember where I learned it or where I heard it first, but just being a coach is always taking a step back and not letting your day, if you're having a bad day, like, so going back to that bad day, not letting that carry into practice. There's one person that, or wherever I listened, maybe it was the podcast or whatever, but it was go into practice with the mindset that we have no idea what these kids have gone through before they got there. Some of these kids could have terrible home lives. They could be failing classes. They could be struggling with depression. They could be, they could just fail their test. And baseball practice is the highlight of their day. So they're going to come and go have fun. So going back to like Michael's thing is having fun, is always having that mindset that, hey, we're there to positively impact their lives. We're there to be their leaders. And also, like what you said, Dean, is be that leadership role, be that idol per se, be that person that they could look up and be like, all right, well, I'm at baseball practice now. My day is about to get a whole lot better, so it's one of those mindsets is, one thing that I've kind of been focusing on, and just kind of wanted to throw that out there.
That's solid. Absolutely. I should have thought of that one. That's a really good one to have. And I'm going to write that one down because I like that one. Anybody else have anything they want to say? Anything they have questions about?